Garrison for his DFS at Fantasy GPod. I am never enough guilty. From Going for Two Live. And Hamid, why don't you introduce yourself while we're just waiting for the other ones?
FF Junkie 85. You can find me on Twitter and GOINGFOR2.com, where I am a contributor. This has probably been the most complex week for fantasy owners with the amount of COVID issues that we're having across the league. I'm surprised a few games haven't been canceled or at least moved to week 18. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about this week as far as COVID is concerned.
I have a quick question because actually I live, even though I'm a Steeler fan, I live here in Denver, Colorado. Why isn't the Broncos game postponed? Was there a reason?
That makes absolutely zero sense. By the way, Julio Jones has been ruled out, so he will not be playing. And of course, Todd Gurley wasn't already playing for the Falcons. So just an FYI for those who are listening. But to your point, yeah, it's I don't understand why the NFL doesn't postpone it. Not just about the safety of the players, but also the competitiveness. Like, how are you going to allow a Broncos team with no quarterback to actually show up for this game? I don't understand why that's not postponed. That should have been an automatic postponement, but they're going through with it. So it's really mind-boggling to me.
So they never gave a reason why that game wasn't postponed compared to
I have not seen anything as to why that game was not postponed.
And the Ravens-Pittsburgh Steelers game is still on for Tuesday?
As of right now, that is correct. It is on for Tuesday. Again, also Mark Andrews just tested positive this morning. So he is out. He is not playing this week and very likely next week. I don't know why this game has not been postponed either. Out just before safety purposes. So it doesn't, again, this is not making sense to me. I don't understand why. And then on top of that, the Niners are now have to move out of their stadium because their city has put a mandate down that no professional sports or collegiate sports of any kind can be played for, I believe, the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So the Niners are likely looking to play in Arizona for the next 3 weeks. Yeah, remember they were supposed to host two. They were supposed to host two teams. With their schedule at home. They'll be playing likely now in the stadium of Arizona. The Cardinals.
Morning. Sorry. Morning.
What up? How you guys doing?
Good. Dahl wants to know if you trust Eckler this week. He's coming back from his IR. This will be his first week back against the Bills' 32nd ranked run defense.
Yeah, I mean, there just news right now that he was supposed to get the significant carry. So, I'm going to press Eckler. I mean, he's been on the IR for what, like over 8 weeks now?
Forever. It's been a while.
Yeah, we definitely trust him.
To that point, Eckler has proven over the years that he does not need 20 touches to finish as an RB1. And we're not talking about a small sample size. We're talking 2 seasons, over a 2-season period, when Melvin Gordon was actually on that team. So Eckler is back this week, and as G said, he's expected to get significant touches. Even if he gets 15 touches, you're looking at an RB2 with upside, even with just 15 touches. You comfortably start him.
I mean, you drafted him in the top 2 round? I mean,
he won in the first 2 rounds.
Just start him now.
Jason Scott Nestor wants to know flex, Rieger, Slayton, or Brian Hill. And since Roethlisberger may not play, Bridgewater, Jones, or Fitzpatrick. Wait, why Roethlisberger is not going to play is my first question.
Yeah, as of right now, the game is on. There's no indication from the league at this time that game is going to be canceled. But, of course, you should make backup plans just in case it does. One, before we answer that question, I would talk to your commissioner. I'm in 3 leagues. I'm the commissioner of all 3 leagues. You should talk to your commissioner and give your commissioner have your commissioner agree to this, that, hey, here's my backup in case Roethlisberger does not play. But give that name before the 1 o'clock kickoffs. There should be no reason why your commissioner should not agree to that. So having said that, I would keep Roethlisberger in your starting lineup at this time, but I would play Bridgewater if I had to pick out those 3.
And the first one? Jalen Reagor. Oh, Brian Hill? Oh, I'm sorry. I put the question up. Yeah, and there you have it.
Oh, thank you.
I think the thing that he was saying, since Roethlisberger might not play, is not more to the game not playing. he was in contact or close contact to the quarterback. Maybe they believe that they didn't have a close contact. He got COVID-19. So there was like speculation that they're going to test him and see how he's about. Test result hasn't came back, obviously, because it takes 24 hours. But if I would do what Hamid said. Basically, you do a COVID replacement rule. That's what I do with my league. But I would definitely, either way, I would still start Fitzpatrick over Ben Roethlisberger, to be honest, against the Ravens. So, I mean, Fitzpatrick had a great matchup this week versus the Jets. He should be solid for at least 18 points. I mean, Big Ben versus the Ravens, that's a hard matchup, not an easy one. But they are missing a lot of their defensive players. But,
they are.
I would still play Fitzpatrick over Big Ben. Brian Hill would be the start for me. I look for volume when it comes to my fantasy football. You know, I look for stealing too, but I don't see a stealing game in Rager or Slayton, to be honest. I see a good game in Brian Hill because he's facing the Raiders. They're ranked 32nd overall in DVOA versus the defense, I believe. With the running back, I could be wrong though. No, yeah, they ranked 32nd in DVOA versus the running back, and he's going to get most of the workload. Edo Smith will get some touches, but I don't think it'll be significant enough for him to not get you, I don't know, 14 points maybe. I mean,
So to your point, I agree with you. Brian Hill would be the start also out of those three. And here's a little bit of numbers for you to back it up as well. So Brian Hill is going to be replacing essentially Todd Gurley. Edo Smith is going to keep his role as the number 2 and change the pace back. Todd Gurley saw the field at least 58.4% of the time every single week except for last week, where of course he got hurt. But also, Todd Gurley had a total of at least 18 carries 4 out of the 5 weeks. So we're not saying he's going to get that many touches, but he's guaranteed at least 15 total touches, if not more. So I think he is the safest play, and I do agree with G. I'm also a guy who believes in volume. So the volume is there for Brian Hill, so I would take Brian Hill there. And to the point about the Steelers, their backup quarterback, Matt Canada, was one that tested positive for COVID. And Ben Roethlisberger was not considered to be a close contact risk.
Yeah.
So he should be good to go.
Yeah. I always say rivalry games are low scoring more than anything.
I don't trust divisional matchups in that division anyway. Jason again wants to know Raheem Mostert or Naheem Hines, Reed or Font.
I'll
Would
start.
you play any Broncos today? Any Bronco offensive player? Would you play any Broncos offensive player today?
No. Unless you're in a 16-man league, I would not.
Okay.
Well, I'll still play. No, that's sad that you have to play Reed over Fant, but I play Mostert over Hines, that's for sure, though, because I think
I agree with that.
Mostert will get volume and good volume. Hines will get. You're gambling on what he gets, right? So I'm not so sure who's gonna get the workload, Wilkins or Hines. I mean, Wilkins is a pretty good runner. I mean, Hines is more the pass catching running back. So, but I think in this game environment, the Tennessee versus Colts is going to be a little bit more scoring than people think. I mean, I respect the Colts defense, but they don't have DeForest Buckner. That's
the best defender's out.
AJ Smithington in a half-point PPR, Brian Hill or Deebo Samuel?
Brian Hill.
Deebo Samuel has a really bad matchup.
Bad. He said Mostert, Brian Hill, or Deebo Samuel. Right?
No, Brian Hill. What? No. In a half-point PPR, Brian Hill or Deebo Samuel.
Brian Hill, easy.
Oh, wait, he says, oh, no, I see it. He says Mostert, Brian Hill, and Deebo Samuel. Pick 2. So it's for me, it's Mostert and Brian Hill, both the running backs.
Yeah, same thing.
See, and Hill or Gallman?
Gallman, yeah. Okay, so Gallman, the past 4 weeks in a row now, he's had a touchdown. The last game, he had 2 touchdowns against a very good Eagles run defense. The Eagles defense against the run is not something to laugh about. The Redskins he scored against. The Eagles he scored against. So at this point, you're starting Gallman with the – now remember, Freeman is not back this week. I don't even think he's been activated off IR yet. So as of right now, I'm trusting Gallman in my lineup, even as an RB2, your RB2 or your flex. I think he should be in your every single lineup in 12-man leagues. If you have him, you definitely play him until he shows otherwise. Look at the last 4 weeks, his numbers. He's getting the volume and he's getting the end zone looks. So, I mean, yeah, it does suck that Daniel Jones takes away some of the rushing volume, but I mean, you're starting Gallman for sure.
Yep.
Hey, G, in your DFS, who are your top 5 defenses?
My top 5 defense, number 1 is, it's that
Everyone knows.
it's Saints defense versus the Broncos. Obviously, they have a great matchup with no quarterback playing. I mean, I can't remember. The closest that I ever come to not seeing a quarterback play was Jimmy G every week in the 49ers. No, it's actually, I mean, we never seen this, right? Like a quarterback not play. So it's just the upside there for the Saints defense. Number 2 is the Cleveland Browns. I really like the Cleveland Browns versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 3 is the Giants versus Cincinnati. Is it Brandon Allen that's starting in Cincinnati now?
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah, Brandon Allen. Number 4 is the Rams defense for the 49ers. But I'm going to have a lot of exposure to the Raiders defense versus Matt Ryan as a cheap defense. They are 2,300, so they're really cheap. Matt Ryan seemed to struggle without Julio. It's like that's his, peanut butter.
4-point difference. 4-point difference on a weekly basis without Julio in lineup. Matt Ryan.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. Those are my top defense. Really, in reality, I'm going to have a lot of exposure to the Browns defense because I want to stack them with Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt in a great matchup in the run game. I don't know the weather conditions yet on that game because I know there was weather issue earlier in the week that said that was going to be raining. I haven't looked at the weather update, but if it's still raining, I definitely like the Cleveland Browns as the top defense.
And they're playing in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not going to be as windy as they've been used to. So,
yeah.
I haven't seen weather.
Yeah, to your point, there are no games that I'm seeing weather-wise that have any concern or issues. I mean, wind-wise, I would say the Packers-Bears game, they're expecting 13 miles an hour winds. 16, well, that's a dome game. So, yeah, I mean, there's no rain in the forecast for any game that's being played outside or any snow. And your question was which game, G?
The Cleveland Jacksonville says a chance of showers, 10 miles per hour wind.
It's mostly cloudy with 2 miles per hour winds.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, wind, weather or not, that makes sense. Weather or not.
Molly, what's wrong with your throat? Are you okay? Are you sick?
No, I had a long drinking night last night. So. My uncle came in from California, and so when the uncle comes in from California on Thanksgiving weekend, we just drink every night. So I'm not drunk, I promise. I'm good.
It's okay. It's okay. We like you drunk, G.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm liking the scrud man's voice over there.
Kind of voice going on. G, who are your top 5 or 10 for DFS for running backs?
I'll give you my core.
Okay.
My core is pretty simple. Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, and then Nyheim Hines and Brian Hill. Those are my top 5 plays probably. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to them. Dalvin Cook is in a great matchup against Carolina. Derrick Henry with no DeForest Buckner. I think he'll be able to run. It's the same situation as last week. It was a stout defense, and they got injuries. Well, Buckner in the middle is going to be good. Nick Chubb, great matchup. Nyheim Hines is more of a value, 4,600, and Brian Hill, obviously, he's the best value of the slate. I also like Wayne Gallman, though, so don't get me wrong. At quarterback, I'll give you the other position, too. At quarterback, I'm all in on Patrick Mahomes. I can't tell you how great of a play he is this week. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going toward a pass funnel defense. People are not realizing it, though, quick enough. that their pass defense is not as great as it started out to be at the beginning of the season. They've struggled lately, and Patrick Mahomes shouldn't have any problem setting them apart because they're not going to run the ball on them because they're the best run defense in the league. Well, one of the best run defense. I could be wrong, but I have a lot about what do you call it? A lot exposure to him. But the other two quarterbacks I'm really high on is Justin Herbert and Josh Allen. I think that game's going to be a shootout. Other quarterbacks that I'm lower on, but I'll have some, is Matt Ryan and Derek Carr. I know Matt Ryan doesn't have Julio, but I don't think that Raiders defense is good enough to stop Matt Ryan. That's the sad thing coming from a Raiders fan. But other than that, I mean, I see people talking about Kyler Murray. That's fine. Daniel Jones. That's fine. But I'm not going to have exposure to them. But those are my 5 quarterbacks that I'm really targeting. At wide receivers, you guys know.
Wait, Gene, 1 second. AJ wants to pick up Philip Lindsay in DFS. Do you agree or disagree?
I wouldn't.
You don't pick up running backs in DFS. You just pick them. But yeah, I wouldn't. I think there's better value elsewhere. Here's the thing that people don't realize. Yes, volume will be towards the running game for what's their name, the Broncos. But you can't run the ball. I mean, you can run it 100% of the time. I mean, we've seen this done before with Tim Tebow, right? But the thing is, I don't know who that backup quarterback is, the wide receiver that's coming in to play quarterback, but he ain't no Tim Tebow, I guarantee you that. But the other thing is, this guy is what? He had 1 day to prep for this. So I'm not touching Lindsey. I'm not touching Gordon. I'm not touching anybody on the Broncos, to be honest with you, because I don't see a high scoring game. I want a high scoring game. I want points, right?
Actually, to your point about DFS, really quick, 2 points I want to make for the guy asking about Lindsey or anybody else thinking about Lindsey in DFS. Pivot to Wayne Gallman, and here's why. In the last 4 weeks, here are his total touches counts. First of all, it's been 15, 13, 15, and 19. He has a touchdown every single game, including the last week before the bye where he had 2 touchdowns. And he hasn't faced some easy defenses. The Eagles, Bucks, and Redskins Washington football team are the first. He faced the Eagles twice, so that's the last 4 weeks of the games that he's played. Those are all really good run defenses, and he's still found a way to score a touchdown. In the past 4 weeks, he's had at least 13.2 or more fantasy points. Yeah. So he's a great pivot for anybody thinking about Lindsey or has Lindsey, for that matter, in their redraft and happen to have Wayne Gallman as well. So yeah, just to answer the Lindsey part. And the second point, go ahead.
I love Gallman, so I'm really high on Gallman. I think his price in DFS is excellent at 5,000. His matchup is good. He's getting the volume, and that's what we want in a running back. Yeah.
So, G, before you go on to your wide receivers, Matt wants to know, would you pay up for Ridley or find a slightly cheaper option on FanDuel?
I'm not paying up for Ridley. The reason why, I think I hate when they do this in DFS. One player gets hurt, and they automatically think the guy that goes in is a great player. Yes, sometimes that works out. That is true, but sometimes it's not. Ridley, when he gets attention, he struggles. He's a good player, but you're paying. I think he's $7,500.
So Ridley's $8,100 on FanDuel. I mean, you have Tyler Lockett's $7,900. He's $200 cheaper. So that's a bet. I would go with him. Allen Robinson, $6,800. And remember, Mitch Trubisky is expected to play. And if you look at Mitch Trubisky with Allen Robinson, look at the splits with Nick Foles versus Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky targets Allen Robinson significantly more. We're talking 12, 13, 14. We had a game earlier in the year, we had 16 targets.
Yeah.
So Allen Robinson also is a better option. He's on FanDuel for $6,800, which is which is over $1,200 less than Ridley.
I just realized this, but where is Jared? He owed me a bet.
He owed us a bet, first of all. Yeah. I expected a big sign saying that we were right.
Yeah. But, it's just to me, wide receiver this week, I'm pretty chalk on when I say chalk, I mean pretty heavily owned. It's gonna be for me Tyreek Hill at $7,800, Stephon Diggs, what's his name?
Devontae Parker's not a bad play either.
No, I love Parker, but he's cheap. So we're talking
6,500,
about,
yeah.
we're talking about the range of,
Oh, okay, got it. Where Ridley is right around that range.
Because the thing is, people don't realize that if Calvin, like, he's had good games obviously this year, but it usually when Julio plays, like he had blow up games, but when Julio doesn't play, he seems to struggle that alpha wide receiver status. Yeah, he gets you 19, 18 points, but if I'm paying 7,100, I want 30 points, and I see 30 points out of. When I say 30 point ceiling, I mean 30 points. I don't mean that's what I have projected for, but that's the ceiling I have. Tyreek at 7,800, Keenan Allen at 88,000, DeAndre Hopkins, I even like him. Stephon Diggs 7,600. Hell, yeah, I mean Devontae Parker is right up there. I mean he's projected for more, just the same amount of points as Ridley for me right now. So if that says anything, but it just, to me, I'm just worried that we're gonna see the shit Matt Ryan, and I don't know, man. But I'm very honestly, I'd rather target other people at wide receiver.
So the two games that
wide receivers. I'm sorry. Who are your top 4 wide receivers in DFS? Or
my top wide receivers, obviously, I stack my wide receivers with my quarterback, so I have a lot of Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs. I like Justin Jefferson a lot this week, obviously, because he's going to be in a great environment for there's no one. They got Rasul Douglas covering him. He's not going to be able to cover him. Cole Beasley, Keelan Cole became a value, but I think the guy that I really want at value is Gabriel Davis for the Buffalo Bills. He's 3,000, and in that game environment, that's going to be high scoring. I want 3,000 as low as you can get in price, at wide receiver. Laviska Shenault is playing, right?
Shenault, I have not heard that he's not playing. Let me check.
He doesn't have a designation. He doesn't have a designation on him.
Yeah, so he's a good play at 3,300. But I think mostly my best, it's just, to me, wide receiver, I stack him with my quarterback, but the best play that I like is Devontae Parker as a one-off. I like Justin Jefferson as a one-off, Robbie Anderson, and let's see. Yeah, one of the wide receivers for the Jacksonville Jaguars, because someone's got to catch the ball there.
Also, a little bit about the Vikings. There's obviously no Adam Thielen. There's no Irv Smith. So don't forget about, if you want a cheap DFS play, Kyle Rudolph as well is a pretty good DFS play as well. If you're looking to save a little buck somewhere and go for a relatively decent ceiling of a 10 to 12 fantasy points in FanDuel, Kyle Rudolph is a good play as well.
Way to ruin my tight end, bro.
Hey, man. I'm just saying, like, you're talking about these sleepers, I do a little bit because of you. I got up my game with my DFS stuff, because
yeah, I mean, let's go to tight end, right? Tight end to me is pretty straightforward. There's 3 guys that I'm keying in on, and that's Darren Waller. And I usually don't pay up, but they're in such a good spot, and it makes sense when you do your stacks and stuff. Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, and Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph is so cheap. He's 2,800. He's projected for the 3rd most ownership at 11%, and facing Carolina Panthers. I think Carolina ranks in the bottom, like 20 something. I don't know. I think it, man, because I have my DVOA.
I'll tell you.
They rank 22nd in DVOA, so it's pretty bad. But the thing is, to me, it's just 2,800 for a tight end, because we know how volatile tight end is. It's not consistent. But and then the other guy I like is Hunter Henry. And
I'm glad you said his name, because I was gonna call you out on Hunter Henry.
No, I like Hunter Henry. I like Hayden Hurst too, because of the whole Julio's not gonna play. He was questionable, but he should play. They said that he's gonna play. Other than that, Gronk too. I don't mind Gronk. But other than that, I'm not playing too many different tight ends. I'm getting pretty, what do you call it, like heavy at my exposure. But yeah, I definitely like those guys. But Rudolph is a good way to save money, because if there's any position you want to save money at, it's the tight end, because it's rare that you get a 30-point game out of like a tight end. But you could on this slate, obviously, with Kelsey and Waller. But if they both get you 15, 10 points, then and you get Rudolph at 12 points or something like that, you're killing your roster. You're great on your roster because you save money.
Okay, so I guess kind of answered Justin's question, Kelsey or Hill with Mahomes, or do you play both of them? Do you stack both of them with Mahomes?
Yeah, you can stack both of them. Right now, I usually don't talk about my rosters on the show, but
I'm asking for his roster. He doesn't want to know what. I mean, do you play Travis Kelsey or Tyreek Hill, or do you play both of them? Would you stack both of them for his DFS?
Well, like I was saying, I'm stacking both of them. I can afford it. I'm playing guys like Wayne Gallman, Hines, and Brian Hill, or I'm running back with Godwin, and then I have Denzel Mims. Denzel Mims, I forgot to mention him. He's a great value too.
With Sam Darnold coming back, Crowder also is going to be interesting this week. I'm very curious to see. So Darnold has never had all three of these wide receivers healthy when playing this year. This is the first time. So I'm very curious to see how Jamison Crowder's target share actually turns out this week. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Darnold better than Flacco though?
Actually, I think Flacco is, for going downfield, I think Flacco is the better option for this offense. But from a fantasy perspective, I think for Crowder's value, it's great that Sam Darnold is coming back because Sam Darnold, even going back to last year, loves targeting Crowder. So I'm very curious to see how today goes as far as how the target distribution will be for these three.
Yeah. I mean, I love Crowder as a one-off, but the thing to me is this. With Darnold, I just can't trust that he's going to get it done. I'm
not saying you start him in DFS. Absolutely not. I'm not touching Crowder.
I'm not saying you are saying
him, you start
I'm just saying, like, Mims to me at 3,500 is so cheap that I can risk that. But like Crowder, like what, 50 something, 5,400. So that's $2,000 more dollars.
On FanDuel, Crowder is 6,300 on FanDuel.
63
on FanDuel. Yep, I'm gonna look at the app right now.
Yeah, after that, I'm not playing him at 63, especially on a half PPR site.
I'd rather play Michael Pittman over Crowder, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd rather play that. I like Michael Pittman too. There's a lot of wide receivers I haven't even mentioned that guy.
There are, yeah.
But the other thing, Travis Kelsey, and I'm telling people, Mahomes is gonna be the reason why I can see him getting a 35-point game in this game. I don't know why. My projection have him. Okay, here's Mahomes up here, and then the next quarterback is like down here. Like it's just.
What's your prediction from QB1 to QB2 overall? Not the range overall.
28 points to 23 points, and that's Kyler Murray due to his well, it's actually almost 29 points. 28.7 to Kyler Murray's 23.3. And
Kyler Murray ranked as QB2 overall this week?
Yeah. Well, I don't have him ranked because I when I make my rosters, I do it by value mostly.
Oh, value. Okay, got it. Okay.
So but to give you an idea, with my value, Patrick Mahomes number 1 too, and he's the most expensive quarterback. So, I mean, the next guy that's supposed to be a value, but I don't consider him a value, is Jake Luton, but he's not playing. It's going to be Brandon Allen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, we got Daniel Jones has projected for 17 points. He's the next best value, but we have Mahomes for 10 more points. So why? I want the ceiling. I want all the what do you call it? I want all the points, obviously. But if I'm gonna get an angry Brady in a shootout like this, and Patrick Mahomes, I want all those points. I don't care who he throws the ball to, because I'm gonna have exposure to DeMarcus Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins. This is the first time I think all season he's gonna have all his weapons healthy and going. Because Sammy Watkins been hurt for a while, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he didn't get rolling until now. He's good now. My alarm went off.
And Sammy Watkins is not expected to be limited today. He's going to be getting his full allotment of snaps. So if anybody's worried about that,
Mhm.
so that gives Marcelo Hardman and Jamarcus Robinson pretty much
I'll,
not
I'll,
startable at this point.
I'll tell you this, and I never say this on the show, but I'm gonna have 100% Patrick Mahomes in my 150.
100% out of your 300 FanDuel lineups.
So he's gonna be locked into all my rosters except for my single entrance. In my single entrance, I'll have Herbert, Allen. No, not Allen. Herbert. Yeah, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, and then I'll have another Patrick Mahomes. I have 4 single entrance roster. 2 of them will be Herbert and Allen, and then the other 2 will be Patrick Mahomes again. But that's how high I'm on him. I'm just all in on this game. And I've done this before, been all in on the game, and it worked out. But this game just too good for me. I know I just rambled off about Patrick Mahomes for like 10 minutes.
You love Patrick Mahomes. It's pretty obvious.
No, let me take off my hat now and my jersey because I just talked about a Kansas City player for 10 minutes. But
who
no,
do you think you are? Where are your loyalties?
those are my players that I'm really targeting. But the game that I'm stacking, obviously, I'm telling you guys, Patrick Mahomes, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, Buffalo, Los Angeles Chargers, Las Vegas, Atlanta. Those are the 3 games that I'm more interested in stacking. Other than that, I don't really have interest in other games to be stacking. But
can I make a quick point about for a DFS point regarding one Latavius Murray, who's at 5,000 right now against the Broncos? So last week, I came up across this stat, and it was a little surprising to me. So Kamara is not 100% healthy. Why? He was out-touched by Latavius Murray last week, for one. And Latavius Murray had a total of 14 touches in total, and I believe also had I don't think he had a touchdown last week, but he had 14 touches, which was more than Alvin Kamara had. So just the Broncos don't have a quarterback this week. Okay? So having said that, I expect the Saints to win this game pretty comfortably. I think we all agree the Saints are going to win this game comfortably. So in DFS, now this is a bit of a risk because we're going off an assumption here. But the expectation is they win easily, which means Murray's going to get more touches. So if you want to save some money in your running back spot or flex spot even, Murray at 5,000 on FanDuel. I don't know why he's on DraftKings, but on FanDuel at 5,000 is not a bad option for someone who has the upside to give you anywhere between. We've seen Murray score, high upside as well. We've seen him score what? We've seen him score before 21 points this year. Granted, he's only had double-digit fantasy points twice all year. But if there's a week he does it for a third time, it's this week.
So yeah, I mean, I love that call. I mean, to me, Kyler Murray to me is really just his ceiling is so high right now. Like he's gone 40 points. Right? I think actually in a 6-point touchdown passing league fantasy, he got 40 points. But yeah, one thing that other people need to realize too, DeAndre Hopkins and Stephon Gilmore, that is not a tough matchup. Stephon Gilmore has fallen off like bad. Like he's given up a lot of points. And I always say there's only 2 wide receivers in my opinion that are matchup proof. It's DeAndre Hopkins and Julio. So I've never seen anybody really just slow them down or stop them, Other Julio, what stops Julio is himself, injury. And Hopkins, he's always proven it week in, week out. When he played with the Texans, he always did good against Jalen Ramsey, But, yeah, I mean, this week, I'm all in on Mahomes. Guys, good luck. I got to go make my roster because obviously 150 rosters or Patrick Mahomes, I have to get different. But I really just hope that game takes off. I'll have exposure in my single entrance to Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. But those are my 3 quarterbacks that I'm really riding high on.
Just a quick point to your Stephon Gilmore point. Here are the following wide receivers who have finished at least 10 or more fantasy points against Stephon Gilmore this year. Brendan Ayuk, Tyreek Hill, of course, Nelson Aguilar, DK Metcalf, and Preston Williams. So this isn't a shutdown Stephon Gilmore this year, to your point. So anyone fading on Hopkins in DFS or in FanDuel even, don't worry about it. I think if you want to play Hopkins for a ceiling game, I would not blame you for that at all. In a game that should be a good scoring game for the Cardinals.
Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta go. So best of luck to everybody. Catch me on Friday, next Friday, I guess. On the Fantasy G Pod. Yes. So, I'm sober. I'm just like
without a hangover.
Yeah. I don't even have a hangover. It's just like I just woke up. Like, when you wake up just tired, that's it. But like I didn't realize about my voice. I didn't talk all morning, so like I'm not gonna talk to myself. I'm not a lunatic. So
you're not Dexter Morgan. You don't have an inner self to talk to.
No, I'm good. I think in my head. But no, guys, I can't tell you that Brian Hill is the best value on the slate. So play him at 4,000. Best of luck. I'm excited for this week. I'm gonna go and watch this game at my friend's house. He's a Falcons fan. I'm ready. Like this week's gonna be fun. But it's sad that there's no Julio. But let the man rest.
Your boy's not playing.
All right, I gotta go. Peace out.
See you, man.
All right, Justin wants to know Mike Evans or Chris Godwin.
Oh, geez, God.
Targets. He leads in yards after catch. He will probably be going against Tyrann Mathieu. I would play Godwin just because he has the higher ceiling in that game, I think.
Yeah, but so my concern with both of these guys is target distribution. It's a target share. Neither of them. Antonio Brown last week, of course, he had 13 targets. I think he led the team in target by quite a significant margin. The issue with Godwin is his target share now is down. He's up until last week where Brady had to throw a lot. That was the first time all year that Godwin saw more than 9 targets in a game. So are we expecting Brady to throw the ball that many times to give Godwin enough touches? And that touchdown is what saved his day, really. Before that touchdown, he had less than 50 yards receiving. So,
but Godwin leads the team in yards after catch. He leads the team in and he's going to be playing the slot. The Chiefs are funneling teams through their pass game. I just think Godwin is the better upside. I think Evans, between those two, I think Godwin is a better upside. He has more, he leads the team in yards after catch. He leads the team in targets out of the slot. Tyrann Mathieu is just a beast. And he
is a beast. I can't argue that at all. But no, shouldn't he be? Evans should be getting, I think, what's his name? Breland, who's actually, I think their best cover, their best cornerback. So I think Godwin gives you the safe floor. I mean, that's not saying much because Evans only has 200-yard games, and the last one he had was week 4. And then after that, he's only seen 3 games over 50 yards, and none of them was over 77 yards. So it's literally a coin flip here, but given the matchup, I'll agree with you that, yes, Chris Godwin is the safer play here, but I'm not excited about either from a ceiling standpoint. I think, unfortunately, their ceiling is going to be you're obviously near a touchdown, but if they get a touchdown, you're looking at maybe 15 to 18 points. Otherwise, you're looking between 12 to 14 points from either of them on a weekly basis, and that's their ceiling without a touchdown.
So okay, I'm not as high on that game as G is. Like, I guess he thinks it's going to be a shootout, but Brady's not shown me that he can withstand a shootout. So I think it might just be a massacre. Chiefs side.
It's funny you say that. I saw a stat day before yesterday, and someone in this chat, if you know the exact stat, you can call me out on it. I think it's something like Brady has not completed a 20-yard pass through the air.
Pro football.
Yeah, I think I saw it. Like, I don't remember the exact stat off the top. I just saw it on Twitter.
I have it.
He's not. If you can find that, it's something really crazy. Like, he's not completed a 20-yard pass through the air in like the past 8 weeks or so. I think it's 8 weeks. It was, but that's just insane. Like, that's ridiculous.
I have that. It's like he's not going deep. He's not being good with the deep ball at all.
Yeah, so that also, then to your point, obviously Godwin would be the safer play here, but I'm not too excited about either of them from a ceiling standpoint.
Okay, so Courtney is stacking Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Kelsey this week in DraftKings, which seems to be the same thing that G is talking about doing. Would you make that stack?
I personally don't like stacking more than two players, a QB and tight end or a QB wide receiver. I don't like doing all three, but it is there are exceptions that can be made here, and the exception, of course, would be the Chiefs in this game. In a game like that should be high scoring. Now, you don't think this is going to be a high scoring game, but I do think that all three of them will produce. I think both of them will have Hill and Kelsey. I think will have touchdowns this week. I think they both finish high within. I think Hill finishes as wide receiver 1, Kelsey's a tight end 1. Not overall. I mean, yes, maybe it's possible, but they'll finish within the 1 range. And we've seen that not once, we've seen that multiple times. I can probably take some time if I get 5 minutes to look it up. I'm pretty sure I can find multiple weeks where both of these players have finished inside the 1 category of their respective positions in the same week. So I don't mind that at all this week.
I just don't know. I guess because the Tampa Bay's been so bad on defense in like the last 2 weeks, or at least against the Saints, that everyone's discounting Tampa Bay's defense. I don't know. They're going to have to play to keep the team in the game, because I don't think Brady can do it. The defense is going to have to step up. So I guess the question is, do you think Tampa Bay's defense is capable of slowing down Hill or Kelsey with Mahomes throwing the ball?
No.
No?
You name a defense that maybe the Steelers can. Name a defense that you think can.
Well, I think Vegas held them in check. They held them so they could play them tough, and that's all you really need. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and what you have to do, what the Raiders did so well, was play them at the line. So,
yeah, and
do we know if the Buccaneers are equipped to handle that?
Yeah, I agree with you on the 3-man stack. I don't normally do it unless it's, well, I have done it this week, but not with them. Robert Cooper wants to know, is Cooper Kupp a good play this week against the San Francisco 49ers defense? Which arguably hurt.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So if I recall right now, Cooper Kupp is coming off a monster game. By the way, he's the reason I lost my last week matchup. I was up by 35 points, and my opponent did have Kupp. So thank you, Kupp, for costing me my week. I'm a huge Kupp fan ever since he was drafted by the Rams. So I played against Kupp,
and I lost because
of Cooper Kupp. Yeah. So San Francisco 49ers were the last team to hold. Actually, the only team. There are only 2 teams that have held Cooper Kupp in check under 10 fantasy points. Dallas Cowboys, asked me how that's possible, what they did. And the San Francisco 49ers. Cooper Kupp ran a total of 37 routes on the last time he faced off against this team. So he ran quite a few routes. Targeted 9 times and only had 3 receptions. So and he only had 3.6 times, but he had a whopping 6 yards against this team. So I don't know how you bench Cooper Kupp, but depending upon who you have as a replacement, I'd be curious to know who that is. But I don't see how you can bench Cooper Kupp, though, because the targets are there. He had a terrible game with Jamar Taylor covering him on 91.2% of his routes. So I'd like to hear your options, but I don't see how you can bench him unless you have a better option available on your bench.
Hey, Robert Cooper, if you're still there, can you tell us who your other options are if you have to sit Kupp? Morning, Kyle. How are you in Canada? Kyle wants to know 1 point PPR, Leonard Fournette or Mike Williams? Ooh, Mike Williams, I would go, but Bruce Arians is like ridiculous in his play of his running backs. Like Fournette could have an excellent game. The Chiefs have given up the 10th most fantasy points to the running back position. But is that going to be Fournette or is that going to be Ronald Jones? Who knows? Bruce Arians probably doesn't even know.
Bruce Arians. Yeah, that's definitely a tough one because with Mike Williams, the concern is that it's a boomer bust. And with Eckler back, he's going to now. Yeah, granted, Balaj was there; he was getting the targets. But the Eckler back, you can imagine he's going to be targeted more than Balaj was. You would think so. I think Mike Williams, he's going to be up again, because Keenan Allen lines up in the slot quite often, which means Mike Williams lines up outside, which is what he does. And guess who's outside? Tre'Davious White. Now, granted, Tre'Davious White does not have the size or the physicality to match up against to consider Mike Williams a tough matchup. And Tre'Davious has not been the same corner as he's been in years past. This year, he's been a down year for him. So, is there an opportunity? Is there a path where Michael Williams outperforms Fournette? Absolutely. Do I know if that's going to happen this week? I don't. It's just no call. On top of that, the issue with Fournette is this: his usage, like Lana said, is extremely sporadic. We don't know who's going to get more touches. In the past 4 weeks, I'll go back 4 weeks. He's only seen more than 8 carries once. That was against the Giants where he had 15. Otherwise, after that, against the Saints, Panthers, and Rams, they played on the week 11. He's had less than 8. He has had less than 9 carries total. Granted, he's been used for PPR purposes. He's only seen more than 10. He's only had more than 3 receptions twice all year. One was against the Saints, which was recent. I don't remember the other team he was up against. But it's flipping a coin here. But I'm going to take Mike Williams because I think most weeks Mike Williams has the opportunity to hit a big, because you're counting on a big touchdown or a big game. Mike Williams 2 or 3 catches. So I'll take Mike Williams here with the matchup. I think Buffalo and the Chargers both are going to score decently well. I think it would not surprise me if both of them score 30 points because these defenses aren't exactly what we expected them to be coming into this year. So with that said, I think I will go Mike Williams here.
The 3 wide receivers that the Chargers use are all over 6 foot.
Yes.
Good, over 6 foot. No corner for the Buffalo Bills. I think the tallest one is 6. So, and
wow.
Urban
that's great. I love that.
He's just going to throw the ball. I would go Mike Williams because again, you don't know what Bruce Arians is going to do. Fournette could be the lead back, or it could be Ronald Jones, or it could be neither. He just doesn't care. He doesn't care about your fantasy team, Kyle. Face it. Matt Dahl wants to know Nyheim Hines or Wayne Gallman. Gallman. I'm just going to say.
Oh yes, it's Gallman. Absolutely. I butchered this already with Gallman already. I've already talked about why Gallman is to play here. But just to go back really quick to Mike Williams, in the last 4 weeks, he's seen the offensive snaps at least 73.8% or more. He's at 84% and 95% and 91% the past 4 weeks total. So he's running the routes and he's getting the targets. He has 5 targets at least in the past 4 weeks. So I'm pretty okay with Mike Williams as a play over Leonard Fournette. To the next question, yes, Wayne Gallman. I've said this at least 3 or 4 times on the show. DFS redraft. You got Wayne Gallman. I think he's a solid RB2 play on a week in and week out basis. He's faced the Eagles twice in the last 4 weeks, the Washington football team, and the Bucs, all considered really good run defenses. And he's happened to score double-digit fantasy points and a touchdown twice against the Eagles this past week before they went on the bye. So yes, please play Wayne Gallman. I think Nyheim Hines keeps his role, but I think Wilkins, if you've seen him run the ball, he's not that bad. Now, he's not great, but I think he takes over the role of what Jonathan Taylor had.
Okay, Cooper's question on Cup was for DFS. So
okay, that changes it for sure. Let's see. I have my DFS. I have my app open actually on this call.
Okay.
So within the range of where Cooper Kupp is going, Cooper Kupp is costing you right now $6,700. And within that range, you have players like Devontae Parker against the Jets. I would play him over Cooper Kupp if you want to go for that ceiling play. He's only $6,500. He's going against the Jets. And Devontae Parker has always had his ceiling is with Fitzpatrick. And I think Tua sitting actually helps Devontae Parker more. Let's see. Robbie Anderson is available at $6,400. I would play him over Cooper Kupp. There are options available, but for cheaper that I think have higher ceiling than Cooper Kupp does this week for DFS. So that's what I think you should do. But
I agree.
It's your call though. But I hope wherever you decide, you make money. And I hope I'm wrong if it means Cooper Kupp gets you 1,000 points.
On DFS, I would go for a safer option, I think, especially after hearing Hamid's stats. Again, Cooper Kupp, the last time they played the 49ers. So I think that, yeah, best play 6,800 or less for a wide receiver, yes. And he named like 3 right off the bat that you could get for, like,
Devontae Parker was one. He's at 6,500. Let's see here. We also have, where is he? He was right here. Just saw him.
You're welcome, Cooper. Robert Cooper. Ryan Sestrahan, sorry if I messed up your name. He wants to know for tight ends in a PPR, Evan Ingram or Dallas Goedert, and then for quarterback, Tyson Hill. I keep forgetting Tyson Hill's a quarterback, or Derek Carr. PPR, I would go Goddard because they're playing in Seattle, so it should be a high-scoring game in Seattle. Seattle's defense has gotten better, but they are still funneling passes, still giving up receiving yards, and we know that Wentz likes his tight ends when he can complete a pass, if he can complete a pass. I don't like Tyson Hill as a quarterback, so I would go Derek Carr. Derek Carr's been surprisingly good all year. Like, he's quietly good that people are just dismissing him. But I would go Carr and Goddard. What do you got, Hamid?
Did you say Evan Ingram?
Yeah, on tight end.
I would actually go Evan Ingram over Goddard, and here's why. Yes, the Seahawks funnel, like, their defense is absolutely atrocious. Remember, they were missing Jamal Adams, and then they had a few other injuries on their defense that I can't name off the top of my head. I'm more of an offensive guy than a defensive guy, so I know all defensive players are not enough defensive players. Yes, I'm that guy. So the Bengals give up 9.9 fantasy points to the tight end position on a weekly basis, which is 4th in the league, and the Seattle Seahawks actually give up they're bottom 10 in the league in fantasy points given up to the tight ends. Now, granted, the tight ends that they have faced, they haven't been targeted as much. So, for instance, through 10 games, the tight ends are only being targeted 5.4 targets a game, whereas the Bengals is 8.1. So there is a significant gap in how many targets the tight ends are seeing. There's almost 3 extra targets that they're facing at the tight end position. And having said that, the Bengals are also giving up their top 12 in receptions given up and yards given up. And of course, they're tied for 3rd most touchdowns allowed, which is 6. Seattle Seahawks are giving up 3 total touchdowns to a tight end position. I think matchup-wise, I think Daniel Jones has a pretty decent game. I think Daniel Jones will finish inside the QB1 range, so that means top 12 QB or 10-man leagues, top 10. And I think Evan Ingram, who's seeing a lot of targets on a week in and week out basis, I think his ceiling and his floor are pretty safe, and they're pretty consistent as long as Daniel Jones is not throwing him uncatchable passes, which he has been all year. But, yeah, I'll take Evan Ingram here. And for the second part of the question, which I think I answered already. No, I agree with you, actually. Derek Carr would be the play for me as well, who's had a very surprisingly, very quietly, a really good year. And people aren't noticing that as much, that Derek Carr is, he's been playing really well and efficient football as well. So I will say Derek Carr. I play Derek Carr against the Falcons, who are one of the worst defenses in the league. I think Derek Carr has a safe chance to. It would not surprise me if he finishes top 5 in QB amongst all QBs this week.
Okay, so you have Ingram and Carr, and I have Goddard and Carr. Is that what we're doing? Neither pick. Tyson Hill is out, so it's Carr for sure. And then take your pick on your PPR. Yeah,
and a quick point about Taysom Hill, though. The reason why I'm down on him was because last week, if you looked at it, his rushing touchdowns is what saved his fantasy week, not his passing. So that's a little concerning to me when watching Taysom Hill. You're banking on that. Secondly, he's facing a Bronco. We are all expecting the Saints to win very comfortably. We're not expecting Taysom Hill to be used as much. He's not going to be expected to run as much or pass as much because the Broncos are not going to be able to score this week against them. So that already lowers his ceiling, even though on top of that, you want to bank on his rushing touchdowns and his rushing chops. It's just not – I just can't trust that enough because and especially the Broncos aren't going to score, so he's not going to be expected to do a whole lot. Derek Carr, on the other hand, faces the Falcons, who will score. Now, granted, without Julio Jones, they may not be able to score as much, but I think Derek Carr has a top 5 potential this week.
Okay, and then Kyle, hi Kyle, again, wants to know PPR, Kendrick Bourne or Demarcus Robinson?
Oh, man. man. This is deep, right? This is like super deep. We're going in. I'm assuming you either playing on a 14-man league or a 16-man league that you're asking that question.
Yikes.
Go ahead.
Go on. You go first.
No, I was going to say it's going to be – I don't like it, but Kendrick Bourne will be the play here. With Sammy Watkins back, that puts Demarcus Robinson outside the top three amongst the wide receivers when they line up on the depth chart. I'm assuming that's going to be Hill, Watkins, and a rotation of Hardman and Demarcus Robinson. So with that said, Kendrick Bourne – he's seen at least 5 targets or more the past 2 weeks. So I think he's a safer play just on volume alone. And granted, they were facing the Saints the last time he did play. But yeah, I'm trusting Bourne here. And again, the upside's not very high. He's had double-digit fantasy points half of the time this year, half the games that he has played. So there is a little bit of upside to be had here. The targets are going to be there for him. I think he has about 5 or 6 targets, so the upside is not very much, 8 to 10 fantasy points. Demarcus Robinson, you better pray at church before you start him this week if you are going to play him. But otherwise, I think Kendrick Bourne, just on volume, slightly bit more, is the person to play here.
I agree. I think Demarcus Robinson's going to be the odd man out with this, with everyone coming back healthy. And it's going to be, I mean, Holmes can only throw so much to so many people. So I'm going to go Kendrick Bourne too. Not really happy about it. It wouldn't be my most favorite choice. Yeah, Kendrick Bourne. Kyle wants to know Derek Baker Mayfield this week. Derek Carr. Cleveland's only had 2 offensive touchdowns in like the last 3 weeks, partly because they played in all that wind and stuff. But it's a run offense. It's a Nick Chubb Hunt offense. I would go Derek Carr against Atlanta. Yeah. What do you got?
I agree with you. Not only that, but this team runs through what do you call it? Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. The running game, I think the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks they've rushed for over 200 yards. They both have, I think, rushed for over 100 yards each. I think last week as well they did. So I don't see how Baker Mayfield has the upside to even finish. I don't even think I think he's a middle of the pack QB2 this week. I mean, I think he's going to finish around QB 15, between QB 15 and QB 18. I don't even think he has multiple. How many weeks does he have multiple touchdowns this year? I mean, and wait, does he even have? I need to look this up. I don't even think he has a touchdown. Does he have a touchdown pass in the past 2 weeks?
No, they haven't had an offensive touchdown. They've had 2 offensive touchdowns in 3 weeks, and they were both running touchdowns. So,
actually, wait, I just pulled it up. Last 3 games that Baker Mayfield played, he has 0 passing touchdowns. So
October 25th was the last time he had touchdowns, and he had 5. But that was that. Yeah, that was against Cincinnati, and that was that game that they had to have those 5. So in the last 3 weeks, he hasn't had a touchdown. In the last 3 weeks.
Wow, I didn't even notice that. I just pulled it up and I looked at it. So yeah, I think that answers the question. That makes it pretty easy. Then Derek Carr will be the play, especially against the Falcons. Like I said, he has top 5 upside this week.
Kyle said, to answer your question on that, he's in a 14-man team. It's the Canada Cup. 3 different 14-team leagues, and he's trying to stay in the playoff spot.
Kyle, all the best, man.
You're going to get this. You got this, Kyle. You got this. And then the other Kyle, who was just asking the question about Carr Baker, said he had Carr, but someone was portraying Baker as a sleeper. I think I portrayed Baker as a sleeper, but yeah, I would stick with Carr. I wouldn't play a sleeper over a must-start guy.
So, Glass, a question about Baker Mayfield for you then. If you think he is a sleeper, what do you think his upside is this week? Like, where do you think his ceiling is for where he can finish this week?
I think that actually I was going to say him and Jarvis Landry. I think that So I think they're going to concentrate on the run game. I think his upside is maybe 2 touchdowns. 2 passing touchdowns, because I think they're going to blow out Jacksonville. Jacksonville doesn't have a defense. The only one they have is Miles Jack, basically, and he's pretty much slowed down considerably. So I had projected Baker for 2 touchdowns, both going to Jarvis Landry, both after they get comfortably ahead in the run game. That's why I predicted them as a sleeper.
Also, about the Jacksonville Jaguars, they give up 20.5 fantasy points, which is eighth in the league. They've given up 9 rushing touchdowns, and they've given up 973 rushing yards. And they've been run on a ton. They've been run on the 7th most amongst all teams in the league. So a lot of teams, the Browns are going to funnel this offense through the ground. And yeah, guys, to your point, we're probably banking on a red zone touchdown for Baker Mayfield. He's not going to have any deep shots where he's going to be throwing the ball deep for a touchdown. So, I mean, you never know what can happen. Baker might just blow up for 5 touchdowns for all we know. You know, you just can't predict those that happen. But given the what we're seeing from the stats and from these game flows in the past 3 weeks, yeah, I don't see how you start him over Derek Carr.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't suggest starting him over Derek Carr, but I would caution people to remember the last 3 weeks, no one playing in Cleveland has scored much because of that. They've had that really terrible weather. Not saying that Baker, without the weather, would have scored a lot, because I still don't think he would. I still think Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are going to be the scorers on that team. But I do think they're going to give him a chance to try to hit the end zone, and that there's no better team except for the Jets to give him a chance to do that with than Jacksonville Jaguars in this kind of let's start Mike Glennon, maybe we don't have a chance to win a game mode. That was my...
Also, the Browns game, it's mostly cloudy. It's 67. It's being played in Jacksonville, too. So the weather's not going to be a factor at all in this game. Nice, and it's mostly cloudy. No wind impacts at all whatsoever. So it's a clean game.
Yay. Ooh, so, okay. Kyle said it was a sleeper app. Oh, my bad. Anyways. So we're going to have to let go. We're going to have to go and let people get their lineups in.
Oh, my God. It's 12:32. Wow. I didn't realize how time flew by.
Time flies. Robert Cooper, real quick. Nelson Aguilar or Devontae Parker in a Carr lineup?
Parker.
I would stack. Oh, really? You would stack him?
With Fitzpatrick? I mean, with Fitzpatrick,
no,
Parker's...
Derek Carr but he's playing Derek Carr as his quarterback.
Oh, he wants to stack.
So he wants to know if he wants... Oh, maybe it's Devontae Parker. Yeah, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar, but Carr is his quarterback.
I would play Devontae Parker. I think Parker has the upside to finish inside the top 12 amongst wide receivers this week, just because of Ryan Fitzpatrick being back there, being how aggressive he is, and he loves to target Devontae Parker. It's really hard for me not to start Parker there over Aguilar. Now, keep in mind, up until last week when he had 9 targets, Aguilar did not have more than 4 targets those previous 3 weeks. So just keep that in mind. Now, obviously, the Raiders, they obviously don't throw as much as well, but Carr has been efficient. His efficiency is what's carried this Raiders offense, and especially Nelson Aguilar in this case. Even though he only had 3 targets against the Chargers, he had 30.5 fantasy points because he had a touchdown and 2 receptions. So I'll take volume over efficiency here and go with Parker, who should see significant. I would not be surprised if Parker has double-digit targets in this game and finishes with at least 15 to 20 fantasy points, if not more.
I'm sticking with, if it's especially DFS, I'm sticking with the stack on Aguilar, and hopefully you can play Parker in a one-off, but the Atlanta's run defense is surprisingly good, so I think they're going to be passing a lot. Yeah, that's my choice. Okay, I'm sorry. What was your party shots? I'm sorry.
Hey, everybody, all the best to you guys. Again, keep in mind your trading deadline is probably past. You're stuck with the lineups that you do have. At this point, your lineups are what they are. You can't make much changes at this point as far as trading is concerned. But waiver wires, start looking at teams who are probably out of the playoff race and need to give more opportunity to other players to see what they have in them. Of course, Perrine would have been nice, but of course he got hurt and he's out for the Jets for the rest of the year, or at least on IR for the next 3 weeks at least. So start looking at the teams that are going to be out of playoff contention and give younger players a shot. And we've seen in the past some league winners come out in the last few weeks of the fantasy season, entering the fantasy playoffs. So just keep that in mind as you look at that. And next week I'll come with the list of players who I think are going to start seeing those upticks in that volume to see what they have and who can potentially be league winners for you guys.
Yeah, and real quick, Matt Dahl wants to know Gesicki. How does the Gesicki do with Fitz compared with Tua? Gesicki hasn't had a touchdown in like 6 weeks with either, so he's not really a tight end that I favor, but that would just I think Fitz is going to throw to Parker a lot, and just an aside. Last week, is it Matthew Perry? What is the running back's name? The number 2-3 running back in that offense.
In the
Perry?
Bengals?
No, in Miami.
Oh,
Miami.
so there's Matt Breida, Gaskins.
What? There's I think it's Matthew Perry, who is a running back, but last week when Fitz came in, he targeted him like 4 times. So just keep that in mind if you're looking for low volume. No, not Patrick, but thanks, Kyle.
Patrick Laird?
No, that's what Kyle said. But it's not Patrick Laird. Hold on 1 second, and I will tell you. Malcolm Perry. Yeah, thank you, Kyle. It's Malcolm Perry. So keep an eye on Malcolm Perry in your DFS lineups, not in your redraft, of course. I am Never Enough JLT. You can catch me here on Sundays. You can catch me tomorrow with Kyle and Dan on the Monday wrap-up show, where we will also discuss probably a lot the Giants game today, because Dan loves the Giants. And no, Matt, it's Malcolm Perry. Ahmed's not playing, right? Stephon Ahmed's not playing? Isn't he?
He's not. He is hurt.
Yeah, so look at Malcolm Perry on your DFS. And then my start and sit articles. And good luck, you guys. You have exactly 23 minutes to get your lineup solidified. Let's get that done. Everyone win lots and lots of money. Win your fantasy so you can get into the playoffs. So we can talk playoffs next week. Yay. And thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Have a good one, guys.
We will see